Maayong buntag.
Maupay nga aga.
Magandang umaga, Biliran. We are proud to share with our listeners the third episode of our program dubbed as
Sugilanon sa Bilir. My name is Jodel.
Ako si Ayla and we will be your hosts for this episode.
Again. Wow, Ayla. Grabe no, this is already our third episode. Hello sa among mga listeners, avid listeners diha, and thank you sa pagpadayon sa pagsuporta.
Lagi partner no, we started this thinking kita-kita ray maminaw but naay ibon aning bulong sa ako nga tig-listen daw sa ato si Biliran Provincial Prosecutor Edna Honor Pitao. Hi attorney, hope you would still enjoy this one.
And speaking of greetings, no, I'd like also to greet Almond Diongzon, one of our friends and also an avid listener of this program. And just a quick recap, Ayla, no, and to our listeners. Last episode, we talked about trigger warning, rape, child abuse, trafficking, and other related cases in our province with Assistant Biliran Provincial Prosecutor Richard Alvin N. Hapson.
Yes, partner, we learned a lot ato nga episode nga alarming jud ang cases that involve minors as victims. In fact, makita ninyo sa FB page sa Office of the Provincial Prosecutor of Biliran. It raises concerns about lack of emotional and financial support to the victims of these cases. Grabe sad how much of a challenge para mahuman to nga interview, partner, kay lisod maminaw how harsh realities can be.
And we would like to emphasize as well that our legal and judicial systems are at work. And if you know of these cases, you could easily proceed with our police station and other instrumentalities of the government. And guess what? Episode 2 can easily be watched on our Facebook page. And partner, just want to mention this. The other week, may nag-comment na ibutang daw nato ning atong episodes sa podcast.
Wow!
And, yeah, right. And that's our next step. I-upload natin yung atong mga episodes so that it's easily accessible.
Wow, that's a nice comment, no? So,
check our page, Bilir, Bilir on Facebook.
yes, so watch na mo guys sa among episodes because there's so much to learn in our first 2 episodes and for this one.
And Ayla, I know you have a trivia. And in replacement for that trivia,
Uy, grabe ka. Bitaw, oy, kanang we mentioned in our last Bilir trivia, bitaw, na Biliran is one of the country's smallest and youngest provinces. So, nahimo na probinsya ang Biliran adtong year 1992, which means na 30 years pa lang ang atong probinsya. Today, we're here to know more about this, and I believe perfect ang atong guest for this topic.
yes. And this time, I'm proud to introduce one of the Biliranans that I admire. Someone who has clearly seen the developments of our province and someone who I believe could easily predict ano yung mangyayari sa probinsya natin because of his massive background on local history, community journalism. He is a professor of the University of the Philippines, historian, a well-published author. Ang dami-daming books niya, Ayla. I don't know if nakita mo yung sa online presence niya.
Ang dami, partner. I tried researching them and I would love to have one of his books.
Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear listeners, we're proud to introduce Professor Rolando Burinaga. Hi, Prof.
Hi, Prof.
Ngayong buntag.
Ngayong buntag.
Maing buntag. So, Prof, how are you doing? Kamusta?
Okay lang, I'm fine.
Kakit
Very
ni
direct.
Prof, no?
Are you fine, Ayla?
Yes, I'm fine, of course.
We've learned pala, Prof, that you just retired last week. And for this, we want to say congratulations. And how's the experience po so far?
Well, I basically mandatory retirement, 65 years old. And so, but I don't think it has really made the tasks easier. I'm basically doing the same things except teaching in the classroom.
Dami pa din engagements, Prof, no?
Dami.
Prof, may nag-ano sa akin, yung microphone daw, Prof.
Okay.
Ayan.
Ganun na.
Grabe, no?
Okay.
65 na si Prof, pero mura man gyapon siya og bagets. So, dili na po ka mo teach after.
Not not in parang MWF or something like that.
Ah.
Murag dili na.
Professorial lecturing, mga ganyan, Prof, no?
Maybe,
Guest
maybe.
speakership, and of course, engagements like this.
Yeah, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Thank you, Prof. And ayan, siguro let's start the ball rolling, no? Prof, we prepared some questions to
Sure.
be lodged at you. Charot.
Okay.
Let's start with the first one po. Let's start with your roots po, Prof. Some sort of your biography. Where did you grow up? And could you share with us some interesting milestones as you have navigated your youth and eventually as an accomplished professor, historian, and writer?
Okay, actually, I was born and grew up here in Naval. I studied elementary grades, and sometime during grade 6, a sister suffered a prolonged illness that required extended hospitalization, of course, expense on the part of the family. And so for high school, I studied 2 years at former Leyte Institute of Technology for 2 years, and then I worked as a houseboy of an uncle in Tacloban. But after 2 years, I realized that I should come home and transferred to as a working student at Naval School of Fisheries.
NSF. Okay.
So parang ganon, I worked my way through high school, and then towards the end of high school, it was a problem of what to do next after for college. And so
Kasi before, Prof, no, hindi masyadong uso yung magka-college those years.
also naman,
Uso na.
if you can afford, if your family can afford. But in my case, parang malabo pa yun at that time because we were in economic dire straits. No? So, but anyway, I had 2 options at that time. During the 4th year, there was the offer of COCOFED scholarship. So, and if I did not get that, I would have gone to the seminary. Those were the only options at the time. But anyway, 2 days before I was supposed to leave for the seminary, the telegram said I was accepted for COCOFED scholarship.
Wow.
You have to leave for Silliman University.
Well, Prof,
So in Dumaguete.
COCOFED stands for...
Philippine Coconut Producers Federation. This was the scholarship for
Wow.
that was funded by Coco Fund.
Matanong ko lang, Prof, no, and for the information of our Gen Z listeners and younger, ano po yung Telegram, Prof?
Yes. I was about to ask
Kasi
that.
yung Telegram mo yun,
was
parang app na siya,
you have been awarded the scholarship, live and go proceed to Silliman
So,
University and
device siya,
enroll.
Prof? Isa siyang device, yung Telegram? Or
Telegram, because there was already before that I applied for the scholarship, and there was an interview in Ormoc, and then there was a notice that you have been accepted to the scholarship.
Ikaw, Ella, may
So-
Telegram ka ba?
Ay, wala po.
Okay. Sige.
And so I was among the first batch of 100 scholars from across the Visayas.
Related
And
dyan
so-
yung next question, Prof, ni Ayla.
Yes, actually, we're curious. What made you interested in history? Kay in your own online profile, it says there that you're a local historian. How does it differ from a typical historian po?
Okay, let me start with just how
Go, Prof.
in grade 2, we were assigned by the teacher to ask your parents what is the origin of Naval. And my parents could not give an answer, so I could not submit an assignment.
Wow.
And so that really bothered me.
You were in
Later.
grade 2, Prof?
Grade 2.
2.
With may history na ba tayo?
No,
Wala
we,
pa.
we, we were
Ay, baka ganun
we
lang.
were assigned at that time because Naval at that time was trying to really have a written history that went into the program for the inauguration of our church. This was made by the Franciscans around 1966. So they produced later published written history for the town, which I eventually revised
Wow.
later. And so in around 1992, when my revisionist history of Navala, co-authored with a few other people here, was published. Then I sent one copy to Mrs. Macariola. Mom, here is my assignment during grade 2.
Oh my God,
Retired na
cute.
siya nun, prof. Oh my gosh. Must have been a teaching moment. Grabe. An assignment delayed for how many years?
20 or more?
What did that teach you, prof? Na kulang yung parang communal learning natin as local...
There's not much historical awareness in Naval, and not much cultural awareness. And so it was related to some other things. But anyway, that really parang, if there was something that made me a historian, that was my failure to submit that assignment in grade 2.
So it was a good news na you failed to submit.
So, siguro, Prof, no, I'll follow up lang. How can local history be integrated into our local education system?
Okay, so let me start with the earlier question, how
Oh,
local
go,
history
Prof.
and
Okay.
national history. Until the 1960s, we only have what we call national history, and this is what we learn in textbooks. So, looking at history from above. So, we are here as a nation, and these are the historical developments that were contributed by the provinces. Parang ganon. So, Leyte became famous because of Leyte Landing and Limasawa and things like that. These are contributions to national history. But sometime in the 1960s, there was what was known as regional history or local history development. Looking at history from below. So, binaligtad na yung perspective. So, we are not necessarily na magsunod kung unsay ingon sa igbaw. We can, in fact, look at our history from our experience, and from that experience, what can we contribute to national history? So, iba na ang approach. Not from the...
Parang bottom up na siya, prof.
and so this is where historical and cultural awareness comes in. No? So, for instance, sa Biliran, there are certain things that wala sa national history textbook, but I have established for a fact na yung first large-scale Spanish shipyard in the Philippines was here in Biliran.
Biliran.
Yeah, something like that. No?
Amazing. Di ba, Ayla, I was sharing before na shinare ni prof na one time, parang shipyard industry before yung Biliran.
Galleon.
Galleon.
Galleons. No? But before that, parang yung mga in our icon sa Bilir basically yung mga Karakoa warboats. I think these were made here. So but when the Spaniards came, the boat builders were here. So ginawa na sila na rin yung gumagawa ng initial galleons.
So Karakoa is part of a galleon po, or it's a different?
Hindi. These are the native boats. Native boats.
If you're, sa listeners namin, if you're curious, that's our logo sa Bilir. Ano siya, taken from our local and rich history. So, Prof, paano kaya yung integration ng ano natin, no? Local, is there some way na yung local history directly integrated sa textbooks ng DepEd, for instance?
It can be done. So, for instance, some of my writings had been parang sa Hikasi, no? Hikasi and Makabayan curriculum in some of my writings on Biliran culture had been made into Hikasi lessons by the teachers here.
At least no, there are developments with that, but we parang better sana no if there's some sort of institutionalization. Yung next question ni Ayla, Prof, is still related on history.
So, medyo kumakalat po to sa internet. So, ang history po ba ay chismis lang?
Yan.
Well, a chismis can be proven as history. But chismis, in a sense, it can be established as chismis kung if you talk about it and it had not happened. That's plain and simple chismis. But kung nangyari yon, and then it can be proven, provided some evidence, then it is already history. So yung pagkaiba sa chismis at saka history, so yung chismis talagang walang
Prof, any quick message lang to those people who do not believe in scientifically based history? Ano yung quick nyo po message?
well, when you history is based on facts. You have to based on evidence, paper evidence, something like that, and of course you have to analyze that. Every generation has to present their own version of history based on their perspective of the generation, but it has to be based on facts. And evidence,
Historical records,
historical records.
peer-reviewed journals, ang dami-daming possible bases.
Yes.
This time, Prof, let's zoom into our beloved province. We know that you're a living witness of its transformations, ups and downs, colorful and diverse stories. Yung first question about this is, what was it like to witness the conversion of Biliran from being a sub-province to an independent one in 1992? And could you describe those times po?
Okay, so we had people power in 1986. And so at that time, we had freedom, and here in Naval, we had this group that, okay, we'll try to put up a newspaper, and this was the Biliran Clarion. And then after
Come again, Prof? Biliran?
Biliran Clarion.
All right.
And then after it had the first issue, what will be our social advocacy? Now, it came to the impact that we have to make Biliran a province by sort of people power. So at that time, Biliran was 4 years away from being dissolved. Based on the provisions of the Local Government Code of 1980, it has to be after 10 years, the sub-provinces will be dissolved and its towns returned to the mother province.
Which was later.
Leyte. So 1986, there was still an opportunity, new government, that we can change things. And so we had the signature campaign, and then supported by the Biliran Clarion as our
Mouthpiece.
as mouthpiece, and ganon. We submitted
Petition.
24,000 signatures around the province. And then and the first action of Cory was give it to the Congress, because at the time 1987 nagkuha ng Congress. And so at the time, the congressman in Region 8 co-sponsored a bill, because there's already people initiating this. So we went into second round of signature campaign. So that was what made, and then we got the support of senators Pimentel and Shahani, things like that. And so although our congressman at that time actually resisted he actually worked against his own bill.
Uy.
but we already had the support of senators and some other things, and we got the support of the Inquirer at the time.
Inquirer, as in the publication.
That the correspondent
Yeah.
serialized news about our things for provincehood, and that made sense.
Yung nakuha ko, Prof, no, the movement started way earlier, 1980s.
86.
86. Exactly during the Freedom
Soon
Constitution.
Soon after. Wala
Wow.
pang Freedom Constitution.
Ay, wala pa, 87.
Soon after EDSA.
Grabe. Prof, this time, let's go to specifics. Can you still remember the exact votes or general percentage?
So, it was dangerous at that time because in 3rd District, no won. 65%. And
No, as in, wag tayo maghiwalay.
maghiwalay.
Okay.
Mga may attachment
and,
issues na to.
and in Biliran, in fact, only 55% said yes.
Wow. So it's 55 versus
45.
45.
So almost one half were not willing to separate from Leyte.
very curious case of Prof. No,
Yes.
but
There
generally,
was
Yeah.
vote buying.
so in other words,
For
Prof.
no
No,
votes.
medyo resistant si Biliranons before to leave or separate from Leyte.
There was sufficient but anyway, we had already some media mileage elsewhere, and so the other districts in the province of Leyte, in fact, gave us 75%. So it became 75 yes and about 25 no.
Prof, may dalawa akong clarifications. Why do you think Biliranons then did not want to separate from Leyte? And the second is, what does that tell us about history?
Well, at the time, parang yung mga pro-Marcos, yung mga na-displaced na, they were still influential. And in fact, when we had this provincehood movement, basically parang yung project na yan, hinubog-hubog lang yan. And of course, we were drunkards.
Yeah, and
At that time.
it crystallized to something great. Diba? Sa mga listeners po pala namin, maybe you would interested to Google Bilir and Clarion. Ito yung first official publication ng province, Prof. Parang ganun, no?
Yes. So, there was a lot of opposition, local opposition, but the thing there is that that's why we had the signature from those less influential people around.
Paano po yung process nun?
We actually parang
House to house?
some people really went house to house. Parang it was supported by the OIC governor at the time, Joe Gonzales. Really went house to house, and if you can put your signature for the provincehood movement.
So to our listeners, once again, 55% said yes na maging province tayo and 45
Na no.
said no. Yung second follow-up dito, Prof, punta naman tayo sa what makes Biliran unique as a province? What are its defining characteristics?
Okay, so when Biliran became a province in 1992, we were number 16 poorest.
Wow.
Purest.
So there were 21 poorest provinces. We were number 16 poorest from the
Uy, grabe yun, Jude.
Now by 2016 we had risen to number 16 least poor from the top. In fact, we are the best province in Region 8 in terms of parang least poor, no? Number 16.
Nice.
Southern Leyte is number 40. Leyte is number 53, and the three Samars are actually in the 15 lowest, poorest provinces in the country. So yung nakaangat na yung Biliran.
Ano po yung unique sa atin, if any, among may 80 plus provinces po tayo, di ba?
Well, one of the thing here is that we, as a province, almost all our barangays are now accessible by road. You cannot say that for Samar, Eastern Samar, Northern Samar.
So infra projects are doing well. That's one. Public
Access
works.
and facilities, mga basic needs, water and
That despite
limitation.
us being an island province, Prof, no? And we have one municipality, which is Maripipi, na you have to travel by
Malayo.
boat. Oo.
So, but anyway, we can be proud of the fact that all our barangays are accessible by
And
vehicles.
lahat may electricity.
May water.
Massive developments.
So, siguro related then with that, Prof, no? What's the best thing about being a Biliranon?
Well, I have always tried to introduce myself as a Biliranon. I'm proud of that fact. And there are a lot of things that we can be proud of as far as Biliran is concerned, historically and culturally. So I always told them that the first shipyard, I have published about that. In fact, I had disclaimed that Actually, Lapu-Lapu came from Bilir.
Oo, nabasa ko, Prof, yung yung theory mo na
And,
Lapu-Lapu originated from
And
Bilir.
we have actually introduced a lot of things. Yung mga nobena para sa mga patay basically started from here.
Wow.
This is
Seryoso?
yeah.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's now still the tradition is still all over actually Visayan speaking areas of Visayas and Mindanao.
Prof,
It's still-
by any chance, Prof, do you know where the term Biliranon originate? Or meron ba, if any?
Okay. So actually, our old was Panamaw. Our old name was Panamaw. This is the
Mountain.
fishing net, heavy
true.
duty fishing net nga ang nakukuha ito hadto mga sea cows, no? Duyong. Mga large species of fish.
Duyong?
Dugong.
Ay, dugong.
Dugong.
But it's just sa TV dugong.
So, Prof, Panamaw ang tawag nga net.
Ang kanang dako ni nga net. So
Oh, okay.
parang ang our term now is parang batong. Batong heavy duty na net. Imagine a tennis net na twice wide.
Uy,
So, parang ganon.
Dako.
Heavy duty ang kaan because they're used to catch large species of fish. They can also be used to catch yung mga wild pigs mga kuan on land. They can be used on land and sea. Now, it seems Biliran, my theory was that this was an attempt of the natives to call yung mga ginawa ditong galleons curved angle. Bilir is a curved angle. So, this is a boat with a curved angle, but apparently hindi na pick up yung pag-introduce natin ng term na Bilir for the galleon. But anyway, Biliran, it's the parang yung balimbing has 5 bilir. Curved angle.
oo. Balimbing sa Bisaya is balimbing.
Balimbing.
Sa English.
Star apple.
Star iba yung starfoot. Starfoot is santol.
Dili.
Ay,
Kay
sa-
Mito.
ay,
Kay Mito.
So, sabi santol.
I don't know.
Sige, Prof. So, from Isla di Panamaw to Bilir.
To Biliran.
To Biliran. Okay. And Biliranon, murag evolution na lang siya sa ano, no?
It's parang the change of names apparently was influenced by the eruption of Mount Panamaw in around 1669. So we have
Oh,
this
alam mo yan.
parang we still have this tradition sa Region 8 nung masinikit nun ang bata. Alis dan nimong pangalan. So that the spirits will not be
Di mo attach. Attachment issues
dili
again.
Nga sa ratong iyang giduya.
Murag nakadungog ka na, Prof, growing up. Oo.
And so that's why it became a problem. Pag-ngayuin na sa imo sa NS o birth certificate.
Iba na.
Oo.
Lain na imo ngalan.
Oo. Ay, lang sa natin mong former name?
Uy.
Na ba?
Maria Aylat. Charot.
Yung kay Mark Ayla.
Ay.
So,
Uy, dili sad.
especially sa summer, this was very common.
I-change
Yung,
your name.
change of names para ma-confuse ang espiritu. Sarap na
But, well, practically, it's against the law to do that. So,
Bitaw.
please, ay mo
But this was part
basta-basta.
of tradition.
Oo.
Na kung sikli ang
Ka-funny,
bata,
ana.
basically ang bata, change the name para to waylay the spirits.
Pero overall, Prof, no, personally, you're okay with the Biliran name natin na okay lang na nag-deviate tayo sa Panamaw or other historical
Well,
names.
it's a historical fact.
Ay, oo nga. Oo.
wala na tayo magagawa.
Respect na lang daan. Sige, Prof, yung next would be asked by Ayla.
So, there's a Republic Act, 1177-2, an act establishing the Biliran Cultural Center and Museum in the province of Biliran po, defining its purpose and objectives and appropriating funds thereof. So, what are your thoughts about this po, Prof?
It is there, and we might as well make good of it and its purpose. So we are the first province in
Okay.
Region 8 to have this nationally national law that we can have,
Recognized.
have our own cultural center and museum, nationally funded. So
And huge props, no, to our legislators who pushed for the enactment of this law. Our Congressman Espina and other lawmakers and
there were
president.
actually, I think, seven of them, who lima lang yung
Na-approve.
na-approve.
Buti na lang.
But
I mean,
early on, I had been because yung staff ni Senator Gatchalian, those involved in basically trying to recruit.
Prof, anong impact nito, Prof, sa
Yes.
province natin?
We can have our own museum and cultural center. Parang for others, parang may elitista yung mga pang-museum. But we do need
Yes.
We don't need,
yes,
To
definitely.
preserve our culture, po,
culture,
no?
heritage. parang
Yes.
ganun, a center for our culture and heritage.
Especially that this is taxpayer funded. So may pera talaga for the operationalization of the museum. And we look forward to seeing progress for this Republic Act, for this law.
So,
Then
hindi na
this
lang
can be linked
beaches.
to university
Yeah, yung CBPS.
initiatives. Parang
Oo.
ganun. You know?
Because Biliran Province State University has the Center for Biliran Province Studies. Baka pwedeng i-part. Alam mo yun, Ayla?
I don't know
But
that
can you
yet.
recall when you were still a student sa BIPSU na may museum?
Ay, oo.
Yan.
Pero it's just a room
Oo.
in Andaya ata yun.
Yeah, that was a great start na, Prof, right?
Yes.
Na
Oo.
nag-document
It
na...
can always be parang expanded from there. Make it more interesting to the public.
Yes. Kaya there are a lot of people who loves museum, 'di ba? So hindi na lang beaches yung i-visit nila sa Biliran, but we have Biliran Museum.
I remember when I visited yung museum sa BIPSU.
Yes.
Prof, amazing kasi nakakolect pa sila ng mga old banknotes, bill notes, pera. Ano yung mga artifacts. Anyway, Prof, we've talked about the development of the province. We've also talked about your younger years and your career. This time, we're interested in asking you or your vision for the province 10 to 50 years from now.
I wish to see Biliran as an economically self-sufficient province. We are basically self-sufficient. In fact, we are more a rice exporter than importer. And in the region.
Rice.
And we need to have at least maintain the good roads and good communication facilities and adapt the basic needs of
Social
improve
services,
the-
no?
yeah,
Infra.
basic needs of the population, food, clothing, shelter, food, water, shelter, and peace and order. We have actually good peace and order
Compared.
situation compared to the other regions, precisely because there's something cultural. We only rebel during rebellious times, but not during otherwise peaceful times.
Parang conformist ba yung tawag dyan, Prof? Hindi naman?
We are in fact non-conformist.
Okay.
Wala tayong insurgency dito.
Parang malleable lang, no?
But we fought against
Japanese.
we fought against the Americans, yung Pulahan Wars noon, and then during the transition from the Jesuits to the Augustinians, we had this Biliran religious revolt.
Alam mo yan,
Parang
Ayla.
ganon. So we always rebelled when it was necessary.
So alam ng mga Biliranon kailan lalaban.
We had that in our culture kung kailan tayo lalaban.
Okay.
Prof, grabe yung historical knowledge. I personally believe na dapat ma-record natin to integrated sa eskwelahan natin or university
Yes.
Well, that's where the university
comes in.
comes in.
Hopefully mag-offer
Basically.
ng
Because it's not enough to
short
produce
courses.
this technical knowledge. It has to be converted into textbooks,
True.
Production,
high
sa
school
production
and,
na
elementary,
aspect.
parang ganon. And this requires a different group.
Yes. And sigurado akong matutulungan tayo ni Republic Act 1177-2.
That can
Yes.
be
Okay, so to proceed po, could you kindly name 3 most pressing challenges that Biliran is facing today?
okay.
Para
One of the most pressing challenges for Biliran is basically we need to have responsive climate change initiatives. That should be the Ordoha in 2016 should be a signal.
Yes.
Because we had the most number of deaths from any natural disaster, about 30 deaths yung landslide. Now, we now have more frequent natural disasters in the province, more flooding,
Totoo.
nabala every 2 to 4 years. But until 1980s, we only had one major flood every 25 years. Pero ngayon, sige na, it's both sides. Dinhi, nagkakaruruba na't mga to.
Considering, Prof, no, na expected na sana na stronger na yung infra, responsive na yung pero...
Na, we still have to prepare
Oo.
for these natural disasters.
Disaster.
So first, Prof, no, is climate change.
We
Beef
have to
up
attend to
our-
climate change issues because we are very vulnerable. Kita din hit pinakadamo permihin buhawi in the region, so we have to act.
So paano yun, Prof? Projects, climate change responsive, infra...
It's really more of actually my suggestion for that, because Karay-Karay Bridge is the only outlet for an area of 25 square kilometers. That's the only outlet. At least an original ko suggestion that make it longer so that yung aagian ng tubig sa ilarom kan. And at least it has followed my suggestion. It's wider now.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
during flooding, the water would not accumulate on the other side. Parang it can immediately exit. And
Lobby natin yan, Prof, sa
well,
local
it's
natin.
there, it's
Ay,
there.
perfect.
Karang ka na
After
yun.
climate change, Prof, yung pangalawa po.
Enhance the academic atmosphere of the province. We now have a university, and we make the university worth its name. University talaga.
Yes, yes.
Parang it takes a lead in historical, cultural, and civic initiatives, and my model is Dumaguete with Siliman.
Siliman
So,
University.
Biliran with Bipso. So parang ganon. If you can have that
Parang kasal yung university, couple sila.
so make Biliran something like Dumaguete has Siliman. parang
Okay.
ganun.
Parang part of its identity.
Identity na nandyan na yung cultural,
Yes.
yung mga museum.
Kasi nga, di ba, Prof, yung university dapat is the parang vehicle of cultural...
yes, in the community.
Yes, in the
supposedly.
community. Oo.
True.
Aside from other pursuit of knowledge.
And after the academic concern po, the third one is...
Enhance the tourism potentials
Yan.
for economic resources. We have a lot of things to show to the tourists. And in many European countries, tourism is in fact their major
GDP
income.
contribution.
Parang they earn because they had this
Magaling yung
you
mga
visit
program.
these areas because
Yeah, because people would buy there, rent out hotels. It basically stimulates economy. Yung ano ko dyan, Prof, this is not directly related about tourism, pero did you notice, Ayla, nung nagbalik na yung face-to-face classes sa BIPSU,
Yes.
stimulated masyado yung economy.
Ang daming tao, ang daming
Transportation,
bumibili.
cafeteria,
Yes.
malls.
True.
Okay, so balikan natin, no? The first one is climate
The
change.
first one is climate
The second
change.
one is
academic concern
atmosphere. Okay.
about a university
Alright.
being part of identity of Biliran. And the third one is
Oh, asa? Asa to?
tourism enhancement.
tourism enhancement.
Alright.
Mura man kung nasa klase ani oy na di presentation.
Prof, we would love to talk more, but
Yes.
maybe in our succeeding episodes,
Yes po.
we would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for allowing yourselves to be here and for the efforts extended.
Thank you.
Any words, sir? Na pang ano?
No, I hope I made sense.
Well, you did.
You did a lot po. So to our listeners, daghang salamat sa pagpaminaw.
We appreciate all of you for listening.
This is Ayla.
And this is Jodel.